You put your baby down. They were fussing a moment ago, hungry, tired, or just doing that thing where they cry for no discernible reason while you mentally review every parenting decision you've ever made. And then you notice it. They've stopped. Not because you did anything, but because somewhere between the crying and the not crying, your baby found the ceiling fan. Now they're staring at it, completely transfixed, eyes wide, mouth slightly open, arms doing that slow, rhythmic wave that means something in their developing brain has been activated at a level your face apparently cannot compete with. You wave your hand. Nothing. You make a funny sound. Nothing. Your baby has found something better. A $40 hardware store ceiling fan that hasn't been dusted in 3 months. Most parents find this hilarious. Almost none of them know what's actually happening inside their baby's brain, and once you do, you'll never see it the same way again. Before we go on, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if you're loving this story, subscribe, because tomorrow we have something extra special waiting for you. Here are the 6 real reasons your baby can't stop staring at the ceiling fan. 1. Your baby cannot actually see you yet. A newborn's vision at birth is estimated to be around 24 hundredths. By adult standards, that is legally blind. The neural pathways that process visual information, contrast, color, depth, movement, are in the very early stages of construction. What this means in practical terms is that your baby cannot clearly see your face when you are holding them. They can detect your general shape, they can see high contrast edges, but the detailed image of your eyes, your nose, the smile you've been practicing since you found out you were pregnant, that is beyond what their visual system can currently resolve. And yet their eyes are open. They are looking, actively, intently, with what appears to be genuine concentration. So what exactly are they seeing? A ceiling fan has everything a newborn's limited visual system is actually equipped to process. High contrast between the blades and the ceiling, clear, defined edges, and when it moves, a large, slow, rhythmic sweep that even an underdeveloped visual system can follow without strain. The blades are not small or fine-detailed. They do not require the kind of resolution your face demands. They are big, bold, and simple. Exactly what a brain in the earliest stages of visual development can work with. Your face, by contrast, is one of the most visually complex things in the room. Dozens of features packed into a small area, subtle variations in color and shadow, micro movements that shift meaning constantly. Processing a human face correctly requires visual hardware that your baby simply does not have yet. Their system is not broken, it is just not there yet. The ceiling fan is not a distraction from you, it is a training ground. Every second your baby spends tracking those blades, their visual cortex is receiving input and building the connections that will eventually make more complex vision possible. The fan is what their brain can handle right now, and handling it is exactly what grows the capacity for something harder. They are not ignoring you. They are getting ready for you, too. They are building their visual system in real time. The brain doesn't arrive fully formed and then start receiving input from the world. It arrives mostly unfinished, and it is the input from the world that finishes it. The visual cortex, the region that processes what the eyes see, is not complete at birth. It develops in response to visual experience. The neural connections that allow for clear vision, depth perception, face recognition, and motion tracking are built through use, through looking. This is called experience-dependent development, one of the most significant insights in modern neuroscience. The brain you end up with is shaped, at a structural level, by what you experienced while it was being built. For your baby, staring at the ceiling fan isn't passive. It isn't zoning out. It's the visual cortex receiving input and using that input to wire the connections that will eventually make more complex vision possible. Motion tracking, edge detection, the fine muscle control that moves the eye. The ceiling fan sits at exactly the right level of challenge for a newborn brain, detectable but requiring effort. That edge is precisely where development happens fastest. Give it a few weeks, the brain catches up, and when it does, you become the most interesting thing in the room, by a considerable margin. 3. The movement is doing something specific. It is not just the ceiling fan, it is the rotation, the specific, rhythmic, predictable spin of it. One of the earliest cognitive tasks a developing brain faces is learning that the world follows rules, that things move in predictable ways, that cause leads to effect, that an object rotating one way will continue rotating that way. This is foundational, the beginning of physics, of logic, of the understanding that the world is a consistent place with learnable patterns. The ceiling fan is a good teacher of this lesson. It rotates. It continues rotating. It does nothing surprising. For a brain just beginning to construct its model of how physical reality works, a reliably rotating object is information. It is the world demonstrating consistency. Research on infant attention has found that babies spend significantly more time looking at moving objects than stationary ones. Not just because movement is easier to detect, but because movement carries more information about the physical properties of objects. How something moves tells you about its weight, its structure, its relationship to the forces acting on it. There is also something specific happening with predictability itself. Studies of infant attention found that babies show a particular pattern with stimuli that are partially predictable. They engage intensely, habituate briefly when the pattern is fully learned, then re-engage when something changes. The ceiling fan, which speeds up when the AC kicks in, slows down, sometimes wobbles, is not perfectly predictable. It is reliably almost predictable. Perfect predictability gets boring quickly. Complete unpredictability is overwhelming. Almost predictability is exactly what keeps a developing brain engaged. The ceiling fan sits in that sweet spot and stays there. 4. It is regulating them. Newborns cannot regulate their own state. Their nervous systems are immature, their stress response systems are highly reactive, and they have essentially no mechanism for calming themselves down when they become overwhelmed. They need external regulation, a co-regulator, usually a caregiver, to help stabilize their physiological state. This is why you pick them up when they cry, why you rock them, why skin-to-skin contact lowers their cortisol and stabilizes their heart rate. You are performing the regulatory function their nervous system cannot yet perform for itself. The ceiling fan is also regulating them, just through a different mechanism. Visual fixation, sustained, focused attention on a single stimulus, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of the autonomic nervous system responsible for the calm that opposes fight or flight stress. When your baby locks onto the ceiling fan and enters that deep, still stare, their nervous system is actually quieting, cortisol drops, heart rate stabilizes, breathing slows. Pediatric researchers have noted the calming effect of ceiling fans and similar visual stimuli on infants and proposed it as a genuine self-regulatory strategy, one of the very few available to young babies before more sophisticated coping mechanisms develop. This is why the ceiling fan works when you've tried everything else. You provide warmth, contact, feeding, the full sensory richness of a caregiver's presence. The ceiling fan provides visual fixation, rhythmic motion, and parasympathetic activation through sustained attention on a non-threatening stimulus. When your baby is overstimulated, too much input, too much handling, too many loving relatives who each wanted a turn, sometimes the ceiling fan is exactly the right kind of nothing. Visually engaging enough to give their attention somewhere to land, simple enough not to add to the overwhelm, rhythmic enough to pull their nervous system back toward calm. They are not spacing out, they are regulating. 5. They might be seeing something you can't. Human vision is built to prioritize certain types of information. Adults with their fully developed visual systems and years of learned visual categories have brains that have become highly selective about what they pay attention to. We filter, we habituate, we look past things that don't require our attention. Your baby does not yet have those filters. Their visual system, still in development, is processing visual input in a more raw, less filtered way than yours. There is meaningful evidence that early in life, before the brain has built its categorical filters, infants may perceive certain visual phenomena, flickering, peripheral motion, specific frequencies of movement, with greater sensitivity than adults. This includes the specific visual frequency of a ceiling fan. The rotation of fan blades at certain speeds creates a strobing or flickering effect that adult visual systems, highly habituated to such things, tend to filter out. For a visual system that has not yet built those filters, that flickering may be more present. More genuinely interesting, this does not mean your baby is seeing something supernatural, despite what grandparents across approximately every culture on Earth will tell you. It means their unfiltered, still developing visual system is picking up on aspects of the visual world that adult brains have learned to ignore. Your baby is not seeing less of the world than you are. In some specific ways, they may be seeing more. Or rather, they are seeing without the layers of assumption and filtering that make adult vision so efficient and occasionally so blind. The ceiling fan is remarkable to your baby, in part because their brain has not yet decided that ceiling fans are unremarkable. Every category of normal, background, not worth looking at, has to be learned. Your baby hasn't learned it yet. They are meeting the ceiling fan fresh, without history, without context, without the brain's deeply trained habit of dismissing the familiar. They are looking at it the way you look at something you have genuinely never seen before, with complete, unhurried attention. 6. And then, quite suddenly, they stop. Around 4 to 5 months, the ceiling fan obsession begins to fade. The fan goes on, and your baby glances at it and then looks at you, or at the toy you're holding, or at the dog, or at their own hands, which have just become the most remarkable things they have ever encountered. What is actually happening is significant. The ceiling fan is no longer at the edge of what their visual system can do. It has been mastered. The neural pathways it was building have been built. The resolution has improved. The motion tracking has developed. The brain has moved on to challenges more appropriate for where it is now. And where it is now, at 4 to 5 months, is capable of something it was not capable of 2 months ago. Clearly resolving your face, tracking your eyes, detecting the micro-expressions that change meaning across a conversation, processing the rich, detailed, endlessly variable visual information of a human face. You have become, finally, visually interesting enough. You have entered their zone of proximal development. The ceiling fan did its job and handed off to you. Weeks of building visual pathways, strengthening neural architecture, training the brain in motion tracking and edge detection and sustained attention, and then delivering a baby whose visual system is ready for the most complex and important visual task of early childhood. Learning to read a human face. Every social smile, every moment of eye contact that makes your chest do something difficult to describe. Every time your baby's face lights up because yours did first, the ceiling fan had something to do with that. It was there at the beginning, being stared at for reasons that seemed absurd and were actually not. Your baby staring at the ceiling fan is not a quirk, not a joke though it is funny, not your baby being weird, though they are wonderful. It is a visual system calibrating itself with exactly the right tool for exactly the right moment. A developing brain doing what developing brains do, finding the edge of their capacity and working it. A nervous system discovering that some kinds of looking are also a form of calming. A mind meeting the world without filters, without assumptions, without the thick layers of familiarity that make adults so efficient and, occasionally, so blind to what is right above them. The ceiling fan will not always be enough. The day is coming, sooner than you think, when your face will be more interesting than anything else in the room. When the fan goes on and they don't even look up because you're there and you are better. But for now, let them look. Let them stare with that wide, serious, fully committed gaze. They are doing the work, and the work, strange and quiet and directed at a piece of hardware on your ceiling, is one of the most extraordinary things you will ever have the privilege of watching. That's our story. If you enjoyed it, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, and tomorrow, more stories are waiting for you. Thanks for watching.